Are you Danny DeVito to his Arnold Schwarzenegger?
Yes.
Please make that our opening.
I'll be the tallest Danny DeVito you've ever seen.
You shave your head, and then just make really gross jokes about guns and sex.
Jeff,
You know,
I'll put a baby
There's
in ya.
the only Danny DeVito I recognize anymore is Always Sunny in Philly.
That's the only Danny DeVito that exists.
The gang studies the Tudors. Do, 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 do,
Speaking of, hey everyone, and welcome to our show, Tudor. I hardly know her.
This is where we talk about my infertility and my
Oh,
booze. Oh wait, sorry. That's just my internal monologue. We talk about Tudors. There we go. Hey guys.
You brought me down.
You know what will bring you right back up?
What's going to bring me right back up?
How many weeks has it been since you've had a cigarette?
It's been 4 weeks now.
I'm so proud of you.
Thank you.
Everybody cheer on Garrett.
Thank you.
Do you hear all those baguettes waving in the air?
I just want a cool drag of a nice cigarette to celebrate. But I can't because that would break everything.
Nothing quite like celebrating with a puff. Stay puffed. Marshmallows.
That's the thing. Like, can I have a cigar to celebrate? No, I don't think so.
No, that's too. What's it called when? Is it Freudian where you have an oral fixation?
I believe so.
Do
In
you
which
have
case,
Do you have an oral fixation? Are you like chewing pens a lot more or sucking on some candy a lot more now?
Yes, but I think Freudian means you just want to bang your mom.
No, that's Oedipal. Freudian means you hate your dad. You hate your dad. You're sad about your dick, and you want to have sex with everything.
Oedipal is
you want to fuck your
kill
mom.
your dad, bang your mom, stab your eyes out. With
Freudian. Maybe it's the same thing. Minus the eye stabbing.
What's up, Oedipus? What's up, motherfucker?
Oh.
Oh. Why'd they call you motherfucker Oedipus?
No, it's not motherfucker. It's motherfucker.
Anyway, speaking of motherfuckers, the Tudors, right?
Yes, they were the motherfuckeriest motherfuckers. We're
Were
really
there
going to get that E
cases
rating.
of like really wicked incest? I probably asked this before.
Oh, don't worry. We're going to bring up the incest.
Holy shit, today?
Yeah.
Oh
Except
my God,
it's.
Emily,
I
I
mean,
love
it's
you.
not a whole
We're
episode.
so good at this.
It's not a whole episode about Tudor incest. It would just be.
Well, then I'm checking out.
Well, then, fuck you. Done with this episode. We're really earning that explicit
He
tag.
draws the line at incest.
You know, everything else I can handle, but the incest, I'm out.
If I ever take a
but-
pause, that's me drinking.
But what are we talking about today, Emily?
We are going to chat about witchcraft.
Holy shit, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm
yes.
super pumped for this episode. I don't know why it took me so long to think of this topic. I'm so freaking excited to talk about it.
I can't wait to hear about the Sanders sisters.
Yes. So let's start with Winnie. Winnie Sanderson was the head sister, and she was a redhead. And she
A
had
lovely
this-
singing voice, by the way.
She had a lovely singing voice, and she had two sisters named Mary and Sarah. And there was a book that helped them. Oh shit! I'm actually repeating Hocus Pocus. Don't sue me, Disney. No, we are going to talk about what witches were and what they did to test witches and all that stuff. So, are you guys ready?
Yes.
All right, Garrett, teach me.
So I believe witches, funny thing about witches is, you know, back in the day, they couldn't figure out who a witch was. They said, which witch is which? And
then they invented the sandwich, and they burned it at the
God
stake.
damn, I was going to make an Earl of Sandwich joke.
And then they burned it at the stake.
Exactly.
But it was a steak
no.
sandwich, and it was fucking amazing.
It was delicious.
Look, guys, if you ever want a really good sandwich, make yourself a really good steak in a cast iron skillet with butter and garlic, and just spoon that butter and garlic over top of the steak the entire time. And when it's done, make sure you let it rest. But then take that buttery garlic mixture and put it on a nice heavy piece of toasted bread, like heavy wheat or sourdough. Spread some cream cheese over it, put some basil on top of that, and then just slice yourself some of your steak, and you're gonna have the best sandwich you will ever have.
Is that what you guys had tonight?
We had that last week, and I'm still salad. This
I'm
is the
so
second
jealous.
time I've brought this sandwich up today. It's so good.
It's delicious.
That's this episode. This episode is all about sandwiches. I'm sorry. Did you think we were talking about witches? Sorry.
There was a glitch in the microphone. She said sandwiches.
Yeah, sorry, guys. Sandwichcraft.
I hope I get a million listeners who just tweet at me that they tried the sandwich and it's changed their lives. Let me know, guys. Back to cursing witches.
Fuck.
Okay, so let's start first with what that time period kind of viewed as witchcraft. So back in the Tudor times, science was not really science. There was no chemistry. There was no molecular physiology. Is that a thing? I'm just putting words together at this point.
Yep.
There was no science the way we know it. There was a mix of an herbalist who could figure out what herbs would equate to Tylenol these days. There'd be astrologers and a little bit of science. And that kind of thing was totally cool with all the Tudors. And so I got a lot of research from a website called the Anne Boleyn Files, which is super awesome. You guys should check it out. Not you and Garrett, not Jeff and Garrett, but listeners, check out
Fine.
the Anne Boleyn Files.
Is that like X-Files?
It is. It talks all about the aliens that came down and invented sandwiches. So the Anne Boleyn Files was actually quoting a documentary or an article by another source, and it said only the strictest Puritans made a clear distinction between religion and the spiritual world. So we know that the Puritans had giant sticks in their asses, so far up their asses that they were kicked out of England.
So uptight that even the British were like, get the fuck out.
Yeah. So the Puritans were the only ones who really, at that point, saw a difference between religion and the spiritual world. And this was probably in the late 1500s. But it kind of applies to most of the Tudor times. So astrologers were heavily used, especially by the monarchs. They liked to get their charts read. Henry liked to find out whether he was a Virgo or a Leo and whether he'd meet the love of his life every week. It was really awkward. But then they'd use their astrologers to pick auspicious days. So Queen Elizabeth I used her astrologer, John Dee, to decide the day of her coronation, for example. But then commoners would also consult wise men and cunning women. That's actually the phrase. You have a wise man and you've got a cunning woman. But they would go to them for like health issues, money issues, marital problems. They were just like the end all be all. They were every kind of therapist you could ever want. I'm going to take a drink. Get yourself a glass of Chardonnay today. So there was white magic back then, and that was the good stuff. It helped people.
Of
So that
course.
was the
Yeah, it healed
acceptable. Yeah, I
And
know.
Black magic was like fire and blizzard and thunder. Yeah, okay, that's
Yeah, white magic was Gandalf the White, and they helped people. And it was typically believed that the seventh son of the seventh son would be a white witch. That actually happened. I mean, think about how many babies people were making those days. Seventh son of the seventh son is not that crazy. But they'd be a white witch, and they'd usually have some sort of slight physical deformity as signs of your gift, quote unquote. So,
Wasn't there a movie called Seventh Son?
probably
Probably based on some young adult book series, or
Probably. Wasn't there
I think-
7 wives for 7 sons? Isn't that a...
That's a musical.
Yeah, that's a musical.
Seven Brothers.
Isn't that-
Seven Wives through? Whatever.
Seven ladies marry 7 guys. That's what happens in the
Seven
musical.
Swans of Sweat.
Isn't that where no shit Sherlock comes from? The
I don't
phrase
know
no
about
shit.
that.
If you know musicals, let me know, guys. That's probably why people think that this is an unreliable podcast. I just make
7 brides for 7 brothers.
I was close. 7 wives for 7 dudes. So the white magic was said to help there. Okay, so there are actual cases of white magic being used. One white witch gave gamblers a familiar, which is a spirit, for luck at dice. So they're just like, here's your luck, your spirit. Take it with you and kick ass. Then there was a guy named Thomas Ross, and he wrote a book about how to walk on water. So I guess everybody wanted to use that very useful skill. Not sure what that was about.
I mean, if you could walk on water, you could convince people you're Jesus.
Yeah, but if Ross is selling a book about it.
Well, you keep it on the down low.
Thomas Ross is doing a very bad job at marketing. If he's keeping it on the down low, he could sell 1 copy. Do you want to be Jesus? Or what?
Fun parlor tricks to try at court.
First, we're going to practice on a bathtub. First, invent the bathtub. Just kidding. They were around. So then there were also prophecies, and those were a white magic thing, except unless you were the Holy Maid of Kent. So when Henry was trying to divorce Catherine of Aragon, there was a nun named Elizabeth Barton, and she was called the Holy Maid of Kent. And she kept prophesying that if Henry VIII divorced his wife, Catherine, there would be disaster. And Henry was pissed, so he had her hanged.
Ugh.
She was right.
Things didn't go quite well after
They
the divorce.
didn't really work out at all, ever. Except Elizabeth, Queen Elizabeth I. She worked out. So then there were charms that were created, and they would ward off evil. They could bring good luck, cure illness, prevent drunkenness, which is like my favorite one. No, it's my second favorite one, but I really like the idea of someone be like, I don't understand why I got so drunk. I had my charm. Like I thought I could have a whole barrel of whiskey. I don't understand. They could find lost property. They could get rid of vermin because there was no Orkin back then. They could get their children to sleep. The Victorians gave their kids Coke to get them to sleep, or opium or something. So I'm wondering what the Tudors gave their children to sleep.
I'll say,
It's a magic powder I'll blow into your face.
say cocaine. I feel
Also,
like we do
you
opposite.
don't give kids Coke to go to sleep.
I'm sorry. I don't know much about drugs. Coke's an upper,
Okay.
isn't it?
Coke is 100% an upper.
Is
That's like giving
opium?
your kids straight up Adderall.
Opium's
before going to
a
bed.
downer, right? Then they give their kids opium. Or
Mm.
what's the stuff that's in paint chips?
Lead.
No, I'm thinking of something else. What's the stuff that's in green wallpaper? It begins with an A, but it's not anthrax. Why am I thinking anthrax? It's
Asbestos?
arsenic.
Oh.
They gave their children.
Arsenic, that's poison.
Yes, they gave their children arsenic.
They slept so well afterwards.
They'd like their
and they
special
never woke
cough
up.
medicine would be like honey and arsenic. And like arsenic was everywhere in the Victorian era, guys. There was a green wallpaper that was very, very, very famous popular in those days, and it was made with arsenic.
So don't lick your wallpaper.
Don't lick your
the arsenic
wallpaper.
berries taste like.
Fun fact, arsenic can be found in apple seeds.
Mm-hmm.
But it's such a minute amount, you have to have lots of apples to kill someone.
You just eat all the seeds.
So anyway, the Tudors probably gave their kids arsenic. They could make someone fall in love. It would determine.
No wonder all the kids kept fucking dying.
They didn't actually give their kids arsenic, guys. I was kidding about that.
No.
Don't take me seriously. They could make someone fall in love, determine the sex of a baby, and my absolute favorite one, put out a fire. So I just love it. I'm picturing The Sims. Whenever their Sims oven catches on fire and they just stand there screaming at it, that's what I imagine the Tudors doing.
It's a special potion. It puts out fire.
But it's not a potion. It's a charm.
It's water.
It's a charm. That's the best part. Is
Are
like
you tired of putting out your fires with water? What if you could do it with a magical charm.
Like, but wait, the thing is, do you think they had enough foresight to go to a white witch before and say, I am very worried about fire? Like, they didn't have insurance in those days. Do you think they were smart enough to go and be like, let's get this just in case? Or do you think they were like, fuck, my house is on fire. They run to the neighborhood witch. Quick, I need a charm. Sorry, dude, back of the line. Take a number. But my house is on fire. And then by the time they finally get the charm, their house is smoldered out and they're like, see, my charm worked.
The fire's gone now. That or like they're giving like a rabbit's foot and they're like, oh, put it out, and they just throw it in the fire and that just bursts into flames, makes it worse. They're like, what the fuck?
That explains the London fire of 1666.
They just kept throwing charms at them.
So Edward IV was given a charm in the 1460s, and on that charm, it was the Archangel St. Michael trampling a dragon's head, which is kind of badass. But clearly the charm didn't work because Edward died of pneumonia, or not pneumonia, like a cold. So he didn't have a great time.
But he didn't get attacked by any dragons.
But the dragons did not get him. So witches were kind of blamed for everything in those days, though. So a preacher in Essex said that if there were no witches, there should be no plagues. So clearly witches brought the plague over. Henry VII. And they were also the cause of natural disasters. So Hurricane Katrina, you can blame witches for that. Man, I hope I'm not offending any Wiccans. Sorry, guys. Don't mean to. But to your incest, Garrett, I do not mean Garrett's having incest.
To
your inquiry about
Of all
incest.
that incest you've been having, Garrett.
Inquiry.
Yes.
Yes. Incest was linked to witchcraft. So Anne Boleyn was, that whole, she was accused of being a witch. She was accused of placing a spell on Henry that made him fall in love with her and then get a limp dick because that's what women want. And they used her evidence was quote unquote a sixth finger and a large mole, which not true.
But she definitely did have those things.
She what?
She definitely had that sixth finger, right?
She did not. No.
I know. You just hate that.
I thought it was
I
11th toe.
I hate you both. But also she may have given birth to a deformed baby, which probably didn't. It would have been written down. Mole. No, I'll get back to that. So, actually, a fun thing about Anne Boleyn being accused of witchcraft. In Harry Potter, in Hogwarts, they have famous witches and wizards all over the castle. Anne Boleyn is in one of those portraits.
Nice.
I love it. It's my favorite little nerdy thing in that. No, it's not. I love Harry Potter for many reasons. That's just an extra favorite thing. So there weren't a ton of laws around witches and witchcraft in England until the 1540s. Henry VIII passed an act saying that witchcraft was punishable by death. He believed witches were after him.
I'm surprised it was so relaxed beforehand. I shouldn't say relaxed, but like
white
not
magic
as big of a
was
deal.
like that white magic was okay.
Yeah.
Well, it was because they didn't see it as harmful. Now, as soon as they thought something was harmful, then you got the label witch instead of a wise man or cunning woman, and then you're in trouble. So Henry VIII passed that act in the 1540s. It was repealed a few years later, but then more came in 1563 and in 1604. So in 1563, Elizabeth passed a law that said if you use your magic to murder, you're punished by death. If you use your magic to harm, then you just go to prison.
But she was cool with heal magic.
Yes. Yeah.
That certainly didn't exist, but these people totally believed it.
Yes. It's kind of like the difference between murder versus attempted murder. Even though you're a big piece of shit who still tried to kill someone and you just happen to fail at it, your prison sentence isn't as bad. That infuriates me. Fix your system, America. There's a lot we fuck up. So there were 3 kinds of witches. There was the neighborhood or social witch. She went to the book club, baked a nice casserole.
She always got really hammered at the get-togethers.
Occasionally cursed her neighbors after an argument. Which I think that's the premise of a Zac Efron, Seth Rogen movie. Isn't that where one of them's a witch?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's right.
It's a school of like a bunch of witch guys who are witches.
No.
What? You completely lost me.
There's a Zac Efron movie where he is in a frat and he lives next door to Seth Rogen and his very beautiful wife Rose something, and they have a baby, and then a frat opens up next door and they cause a bunch of problems and they pull a big prank war on each other. And I'm joking that Zac Efron was the neighborhood witch and he cursed Seth Rogen because that's an implausible movie.
Oh.
Thank you. So the next kind of witch was a sorcerer or magical witch, and they were a healer, a seer, and a midwife.
Ooh, like Nick Cage.
Nick Cage was a magical witch.
He was a sorcerer.
He was
had an
the
apprentice.
sorcerer's apprentice. And they were seen as bad. Like, if they had an increase in fortune, but the community was not doing so well, then they were clearly using their powers to suck all the good out of their community. And then there were the night or supernatural witches, and these are terrifying actually because they appear as demons in visions or dreams. My question though is, if you have visions, well, I guess I answered this earlier. Visions are not that bad. It's just if you have visions of Henry VIII meeting an early demise, it's bad. So most of the time, the people who were accused of witchcraft were elderly women who lived alone. So, ladies, get married early so you don't get accused of witchcraft.
I was going to say, elderly women who live alone. That'd just be Elizabeth, wouldn't it? I mean, she never married, just kind of a loner.
She was probably a witch. She's
probably a witch.
Let's let this.
And she
theory
wrote
roll.
Shakespeare.
She was a witch, and England did a lot. England did really well during that time, probably to the detriment of other countries. We know she sank the Spanish Armada. She's a witch.
Yeah.
History.
Okay.
Facts. Look it up. Shut up, Siri.
She sounded so sad.
Well, Siri wants to be included in this conversation. And my British Siri just told me, I'm stretching out before virtual rowing practice. Hey, it's head race season for digital assistants too.
So it sounded like you just got a weird fortune cookie.
I think I did. I'm going to drown.
Anyway, Queen Elizabeth, totally a witch.
Totally a witch. Fact. This is my podcast, and what I say goes.
Not visualizing, just bewitched with Queen Elizabeth.
She does the cute little nose thing. And Robert Dudley is, who's her husband?
I can't remember his name, but yeah.
Mr. Witch.
Mr. Witch.
Mr. Samantha. Let's be serious.
I mean,
Samantha's the only important one.
It's been a while, but movie idea. Copyright us.
Yes.
Which Elizabeth?
Elizabeth. No, I got nothing.
Elizabeth.
I got nothing.
Anyway.
So back in those times, 90% of the people accused of being witchcraft were, of course, women, and it's because they were viewed as temptresses who were weaker and willing to do the devil's work. But it could have also been like they had no power in that day, really. So they could have been willing to make deals with the devil in order to get some sort of power, revenge, probably for a lover, fear for their children. And this last one kind of speaks to me, infertility. And I can tell you guys, if becoming a witch fixed my infertility, you can bet your fucking ass I would do it. So now I'm just really sad for all those women who were dealing with infertility and were then accused of witchcraft. I'm sorry, ladies.
I'm imagining a skit where you're like some like cruel, like maniacal, cartoony witch, and it's just like a little documentary series about your day-to-day life, and then you're just married to Jeff. Hi. Jeff.
Hello.
You're riding around a broomstick, you're brewing potions, and Jeff goes to work, comes home, he does his 9 to 5.
I mean, do I have a baby in that game? In that?
Well, you're a witch.
So that
You
means
steal everyone's babies.
just give me a baby. So the numbers about how many were accused and hanged are very different. Some say around 200, some say up to 1,000. Either way, lots of women had their lives fucked up during this time. So, famously in 1612, I know it's not the Tudor time, but fuck everyone. This is my podcast and I do what I want. The Pendle witches, or they're also called the Lancashire witches. 3 generations of a family were hanged. There were 13 accused, and 10 of them were hanged in Lancashire. 1 was hanged in York. 1 died during trial, and only 1 did not die. They were all accused of the death of 17 people by making effigies of clay and then burning them or crumbling them over fire. And the one who didn't die, her sentence was just 1 year in prison. So basically the same amount for a white man selling pot. Please notice I had to add the phrase white man.
The white man.
Let's be serious. If it was anybody other than a white man, it'd be life in prison.
Yep.
Fuck.
Welcome to our woke ass podcast.
Yeah.
Get woke. So there were tests done to determine if a woman was a witch. There was swimming the witch, and you tied the women's thumbs to their opposite toes, and then you tossed them in a pond. And here's the really fucked up part. If they floated, they were a witch. If they sank, they were innocent, but they were dead.
Oh, yeah, no, it was great. Because at least you died knowing that we had an innocent conscience.
Right. And then there was one called you were weighed against a Bible. So if the Bible weighed more than you, then you were clearly a witch.
What?
Yeah. They were fucked up.
We've got this special Bible.
They had like a lead Bible.
If she weighs the same as a duck, then...
Wait, I think that was actually a test. Ducks and Bibles weigh about the same, right?
Yeah.
If a witch equals the same as a duck and a duck equals the same as a Bible, then a witch equals the same as a Bible.
Guys, I don't like math.
So in England, if you were found to be guilty, if you floated, tossed onto a pond and floated, you were hanged. But it's much better than if you were in Europe, because you'd be burned or boiled, which sounds especially wonderful. So in Europe, they believed that. So I told you guys that having a mole was one of the indications that you were a witch.
A witch, yeah.
Well, in England, they thought that if you had a mole, you were using it to suckle your familiars, which were usually cats, toads, or a rat. And
First of all, ew.
Yeah. Wait, it gets a little bit worse, because in Europe, they thought that if you were a witch, it meant you'd had sex with the devil and you were suckling, which is a really gross word, demons.
That's kind of more metal.
That'd be a baller name for a metal band.
Suckling demons.
Suckling demons.
So women were accused of a lot of different reasons could lead to an accusation of witchcraft. So if they thought they were cursing or hurting children, clearly you were a witch. If they caused a miscarriage, clearly you were a witch. But this last one, souring milk. Like, A, that's just really specific. B, you guys are just fucking dumb and don't know how to put dairy in its proper place.
Or put an expiration date on it.
Yeah. Look, I've seen that milk that
when
expired in
refrigerators
15.
came around,
What'd you say?
Nobody was accused of being witches anymore.
It's because we've got dairy, or we've got refrigerators.
That's why you always leave a note.
The witches saw refrigerators, they're like, Casses.
Yeah, whoever invented a fridge was clearly a witch trying to escape the persecution of souring all the milk.
Oh my God, yeah.
So they were usually tortured into confession using thumb screws or leg irons. And
You know, like, are you a witch? Ow, yeah, sure, fuck, whatever.
just fucking stop. Yes, I'll tell you whatever you want.
Yeah, thumb screws are no joke.
Yeah.
Oh, God, oh.
Are you thinking about it? Garrett,
Yeah.
tell our listeners what thumb screws are.
It's they put your thumb in a device and then they just screw like a bolt down into your thumbnail, right?
Yep.
Is it on top of the nail
Yeah.
or into the nail?
On top of.
The in between part between.
On top of through.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Okay. You know it's going to hurt.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's gonna hurt
Yeah.
in regardless of where you put that screw.
Jeff's clearly a witch.
Mm-hmm.
So John Dee was one of Elizabeth's BFFs, and he was a famous astrologer, and he was known for conjuring spirits. So even though things were a little bit stricter in her day, she was totally like, "Well, he's fine. He's my buddy. So don't just."
He's one of the good ones.
Yeah, he's a good one. So let him go. James the First had real issues with witches. He did not like them, and that's when the real witch hunt started. So he wrote a book. This is kind of badass, called Demonology, and it's a study on necromancy. And it also mentions
the book I want to read.
It's also it also mentions werewolves and vampires, which
That's
is cool.
definitely a book I want to read.
Well, I didn't know that they believed in werewolves and vampires so far back. Like I thought that was
He
closer
was
to
just
like
making the first monster manual.
Well, that's because
it
they've
was
existed.
the first monster
Well,
manual.
that's because they've existed for thousands of years.
Well, the werewolves and vampires, they clearly came out of the woodwork in 16. He actually wrote it in like 1590 something, 1560 something. It's either 60 or 90. Sorry guys, I'm reversing the number somehow. But cats were considered familiars back then, and that's why royals didn't have them. They were a sign of witchcraft. And they were burnt, which helped spread the plague. And you could thank one of the bitch-ass popes for that, because the pope was like, clearly cats are in league with the devil, and so we need to burn them all. Do you guys like my pope?
Yeah, that was
My like
great.
nerdy pope.
Cats is the devil.
Cats is the devil, and so cats need to be burned. And that's what led to the spread of the plague. So thank you.
The rats were like, cool.
Like, fuck yeah.
No one
okay.
thinks we're awful.
Actually, the Pope was just 1,000 rats all stuffed into a robe.
Oh my god. Pope rat. Rat Pope.
Okay, so guys, I've been watching True Blood, and I know that show's been off the air forever. And I watched it a couple years ago, but only the first 3 seasons were available, and so I'm finally finishing it. And
So good.
Garrett, can you just make that my text message alert?
Yeah. Yeah, okay, hold on, be quiet. This is for everyone if you want to use this. Ready? So good.
That's so fucking accurate.
Man, I wish I knew what this all meant. I didn't watch
Suck
the
it.
show. I don't watch it.
Don't worry about it, Jeff.
It's just every time I walk by the room when she's watching, I just see a lot of tits and blood.
Oh, there's so much tits and
Yeah.
blood.
And the chick from Daredevil.
What'd you say?
The chick from Daredevil, she gets naked a lot too.
Who's the chick from Daredevil?
Karen Page.
Who is she? Is she a redhead?
Yeah.
She doesn't show her tits nearly as much as Rogue.
That's true.
All right, let's talk about how hot Alexander Skarsgård is, because damn.
Girl.
This is tied to this episode
Every
somehow.
time I hear Alexander Skarsgård,
You just think of Stellan, don't you?
I think of Pennywise, his brother.
Oh, no. Well, at least you don't think of Stellan Skarsgård, because he's such a dad.
Yeah.
He's less daddy, more dad.
There's so many of these Sarsgaards and Skarsgårds and
Look,
like I don't know which is which anymore.
Alexander's
So wait,
the
there's-
sexy one who played Tarzan. Bill is the
Okay, that's-
insane one who played Pennywise. Stellan was a scientist in Avengers.
And Thor and Avengers.
All right, wait.
Peter Sarsgaard.
Oh yeah, he's different. God damn it! I was bringing up True Blood for a reason.
I was talking about rats in a
I
robe for the Pope.
I know.
Rat Pope.
Rat Pope.
Fuck.
Well, we were talking about werewolves and vampires anyways.
I know.
I'm sorry I derailed you.
No. Okay.
It's all right. We derail ourselves pretty often.
I
Oh,
am
man.
derailed right now.
Stay on topic, guys.
This is why this show sucks. God, I'm bitter. So
I'm bitter too.
we're all bitter motherfuckers. Welcome to your late 20s, everyone.
The better, the better, the butter, the better.
Fuck
Welcome
off.
to Tudor. I hardly give a shit.
Okay, I like literally just have one more fact and I can't get to it. Okay. In the 1640s, there was, I wasn't going to bring this up until I found out this last bit because the 1640s is like 100 years removed from the time period we tend to focus on.
Yeah.
But there was a famous witch hunter named Matthew Hopkins, which, by the way, I feel like there needs to be a reality TV show, kind of like Dog the Bounty Hunter, except it's Matthew Hopkins, witch hunter.
He still looks and dresses like dog, though.
Yeah. He invents the leather vest. So he would hunt witches, and one of his tests would be finding a quote unquote identifying mark of a witch, which was a mole, a wart, or a fucking bug bite, which everybody was laden with fleas. So goddamn, everyone was a witch in those days, according to that.
Right.
And then he would poke it with a needle, and he'd be like, "Well, if this hurts, you're clearly a witch."
I mean,
If I shoot you in the head with this gun and you
they were
die,
shitty results, but he knew how to say, "Yep, got that witch."
Who makes up these rules?
fuck if I know.
It was so easy to make up and have a job back then.
Matthew Hopkins did, apparently. He worked with that one guy to write the book about walking on water.
He just wanted an excuse to try to have a job. He didn't have to want to work in his dad's shop. He's like, I'm going to be a witch hunter.
Fuck, I really wish I remember why I brought up
I was like
True
the idea
Blood.
of him just carrying around a mosquito at all times and just like letting it loose in a room. Someone just he's like, oh, they got a bug bite, witch.
Poke it with a needle. God damn
Okay,
it.
so,
Why did I
True
bring up...
Blood, you said you're on like 3 seasons or 4 seasons in. We're talking about Rat Pope. I said Suke.
I know. What the fuck?
Oh, man.
God damn it. I'm going to remember this in like 3 days.
Just put out like a quick 30-second episode. Just saying, I got it.
Guys, emergency episode. It's going to be a minute long. Fuck. Let's replay this conversation. Back in that day, the Pope was a dick, and he was like, "Oh, I was doing my stupid voice. Cats, burning cats, cats
Yeah.
spread the plague, rat Pope." Stupid. What was the voice I was doing?
Something really weird, nerdy voice.
Yeah, I'm the Pope there.
Fuck, I can't.
I'm a rat
remember.
Pope.
I'm gonna listen to this episode on Wednesday, and in the middle of work, I'm gonna be like, "I knew it."
You're not gonna say anything. You're just gonna slam your table real hard. Like, I know it because I know how you operate. You're just gonna bang
God
on your
damn it.
table.
Fuck.
Everyone's gonna turn to you, and you're gonna say, "I've got it."
And I'm gonna like, I know what I was talking. All right, maybe it's just that I wanted to talk about True Blood.
Yeah. Well, we went on a good digression there.
Rats,
I love it.
cats, suck it.
Suck it.
Fuck it. I give up. I'm done. Goodbye. Divorce me
Is
had to
that
die.
it
Divorce
then?
me had to survive. Goodbye.
Okay.
That's it for witches.
So that reminds me. Just and again, we're way far out in the
That's
time period. But have you guys seen the movie The Witch?
With
You mean
Nick
Vivitch?
Cage. The Vivitch. The Vivitch.
The Witch.
Let's talk about kerning that pisses me off. We started watching it and we got bored, so we turned it off.
Oh.
Should we give it another chance?
I think give it another chance. It definitely is a slow thing. It's not supposed to be a thrill a minute scary movie. Like, it's a very slow tension type
Oh, we were
deal.
hanging out with a bunch of people when we started watching it, so maybe we should give it another chance. when
Were
it's
you
just
You were watching it with people?
Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't. Yeah, it's more of a sit there and like get into it type deal.
What
like
was
you
that?
want atmosphere and mood.
What was that movie where Willem Dafoe got his dick cut off?
No, we're not talking about
Antichrist.
that. No. Stop.
I will never watch that movie.
I was pissed at the person who turned it on. And she did that multiple times where she would turn on something, not tell us anything about it, and it would be like she turned on the Poughkeepsie tapes and she told me that they were real, and I swear to God, Garrett, I got an hour of sleep that night. It scared the bejesus out of me.
Is it good though?
We didn't even watch the whole thing. She did like a highlights reel of it, and it's fake, but it's about this guy who breaks into houses, installs some fake some cameras, and then records himself torturing these people, and he just moves really creepily, and it scared the shit out of me. I have never slept so poorly. And for like a week, I wasn't sleeping. I don't think there's anything more terrifying than someone breaking into my house. That's what scares me. If I get accosted in the garage, fine. If I get attacked in the streets, okay. Someone breaking into my house scares me more than anything. I can protect against a demon. All I have to do is go to a church.
Like, version of a scary movie, and
it's just
I don't get it as much. But it's fucked up.
I just feel like there's a way to protect against everything. Like, I know I can get a security system, but it still scares the shit out of me.
In case the listeners didn't know, we're pretty much wrapped up, and we're just talking shop right now. So,
well, it started with the witch, and then it went to Willem Dafoe, and then it went to.
But yeah, the witch. It's just called the witch, but it's stylized as VVITCH.
Yeah, it drives me nuts.
Takes place in like the 1650s. Family is like, hey, we're moving out to the woods by ourselves, and then scary shit happens.
Everything looks great out here in this very desolate area where nobody else is around. I remember a baby disappears at one point.
I recommend it. It's pretty cool.
Like a little girl's playing peekaboo with her baby brother, and then she peeks, and the baby doesn't go boo because it's gone.
Yeah.
Peekaboo champion since 1654.
Richard III beats him.
When was the Salem witch trials? What?
1600s.
So
and
around the
that
time.
was partially because of James the First, because he had started so many crazy strict laws, and a lot of people left England. A lot of Puritans, but then it just kind of like slowly trickled its way over.
Are we ever going to get around to talking about the Puritans and them leaving, or no?
Well, fuck, if you ask, sure. Let's make that next week's episode.
Okay, yeah.
You want to talk about the difference between Puritans and Protestants?
I don't know how well it ties into the theme of our podcast as a whole, but...
No, that's fine. Look,
okay.
I can do what I want.
We can break from formula from time to time.
Yeah. And it'll keep it fresh.
I can do that. Let's do that next week. It's happening. Let's make it. Fuck.
Well, not if we break all the equipment.
That was just my... It was a remote and my fountain pen.
By the way, thank you to everyone on Facebook who was concerned and told me to get well soon, because we missed an episode last week because I was pretty sick, man. Like, it was no joke.
Okay, I also want to thank our listeners because I was feeling really shitty last week. I had a really bad week from Wednesday on, and it trickled its way into every aspect of my life, including the podcast. And for like 24 hours, I was thinking that maybe we should stop doing the podcast. I saw some bad reviews, and I was feeling like shit about it, and I'm like, we're not really historians. What am I even doing? And it's like you guys all heard my thoughts, because a bunch of you randomly, newer listeners, randomly sent out messages talking about how much you love the podcast. So I really want to thank you guys, because I know we're not historians. A lot of I can't do firsthand research. I'm sorry. I wish I could. But this is a hobby for me, and I love it. I'm super passionate about it. And I don't mean this to be a educational tool in a formal sense. I just like talking about history with my friends, and I like nerding out over it with cool people. So I genuinely appreciate everybody who said something in this last week. It really lifted my spirits when I needed it. So thank you.
Yeah, thanks, guys. We like doing this show for you.
We really do. Like, it's for you. It's not for those losers who are looking for a formal education.
Yeah.
I would kill for a formal education.
Our show was a fucking pun.
What?
The name of our show was a pun.
I know. I feel like we just need to change our description to amateur podcast.
Non-historian people.
Non-historian. I'm not a historian. I'm sorry. I wish I was. I wish I could do more, but
I also think people don't realize what amateur means. or like,
No, I don't
or
think
they
they
just
do.
gloss over it.
No, I don't think they do. But
Whatever.
anyway, that's it. So
But we love you guys who listen. And if you do listen, but you don't like us on social media, what the hell are you doing? Like us on Facebook, Tudor, I hardly know her. You know,
On
we're
Twitter,
not going to
too.
sell your data off or anything like that. Zuckerberg might, that little shit.
I don't know. I'm
That
really annoyed
spineless
because if I
creep.
didn't have our Facebook page, I would totally get rid of Facebook now.
I still think about it, but I have to do it for work, and I like to post funny videos of dogs.
Well, duh.
That's about all I do anymore is just post funny dog videos. But
Yeah.
yeah, Twitter. I want to start using Twitter more.
I love Twitter. I'm on it. I'm tweeting right now.
I think about joining Vine.
Shut up, Jeff.
Vine is the social media platform of the future.
Don't join Snapchat.
Find us on LinkedIn.
Find us
we're
on
writing an excellent
Squarespace.
article in our Zengas.
Find us on what's the one where you check in?
Foursquare.
Find us on Foursquare. Find us on.
Please give us a Yelp review.
Yelp review.
Do we do
Um,
Instagram?
No, we don't really have enough pictures.
What's there to take
Although
pictures of?
somebody did, one of our listeners requested that we put together, whenever we request an image, we start writing it down because she said she actually wants to start creating some of the funny comics and pictures we dream of. So
Ooh,
I am
exciting.
tipsy, so I can't do that for this episode.
But yeah, Twitter, Tudor, or at Tudor Know Her.
Yes.
Um,
Rate and review us. I'm sorry if we're not your cup of tea, but to everybody who loves us, I love you back.
yes, and tell your friends who might like this show.
Yeah, and let them know we're amateur. I'm an amateur. I can't do that. This is not my living. I'm sorry. I wish it was.
But I'd like to think that we're funny amateurs.
We're really just friends. We want to be your friends. That's kind of what it comes down to. We don't want to be your teacher.
Yeah.
We want to be your friends.
I want you to be my neighbor. Oh my God, did you see that trailer?
No. Isn't it
For
Jack
the
McBrayer?
For the Mr. Rogers documentary?
With Jack McBrayer?
No.
Oh,
I don't think that's a real thing.
shut up.
There's an actual documentary about him, so it's actual interviews and
Okay, well,
whatnot.
no, but I'll have to watch that.
But then they are doing a movie with Tom Hanks playing him.
No way.
Yeah, that's true.
Do you guys remember when there was a poster going around for a movie about young Walt Disney and it was going to star Ryan Gosling? It was a fan poster. It wasn't real.
Oh my God.
Motherfucker. I've never wanted to bang
I'd have
Walt
to get-
Disney so
I'd
hard.
have to get kicked out of that theater for getting too hot. and bothered. If the listeners don't know, I fucking love Ryan Gosling.
Who was the actor who got kicked out of... Oh, pulling a Pee Wee Herman. He was the guy who got kicked out of a theater for jerking it, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, pull a Pee Wee Herman.
So until next time.
Divorced, beheaded,
Beheaded,
died.
died.
Divorced, beheaded, survived.
Goodbye.
Sorry. Tetra keeps jumping up in Jeff's chair, and he's moved her twice, and every time, right as he's about to put his butt down, she hops right back up. It's like this really stereotypical cat thing. Sit down quick.
Hashtag cat things.
Okay, Jeff, cut the cat stuff, but keep the Danny DeVito.
Is that an Always Sunny reference?
The gang studies the Tudors. Do, 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 do,
Speaking of, hey
do.
everyone, and welcome to our show, Tudor.